Level 1. The kid. You are 14 years old and the broken car in your uncle's driveway is the most interesting thing you have ever seen. Not because it looks impressive. It doesn't. It's a 1997 Toyota Corolla with a cracked bumper, a missing wing mirror, and an engine that stopped working 3 months ago. Your uncle pushed it to the side of the driveway and hasn't looked at it since. To him, it's a problem waiting to be solved with money he doesn't have. To you, it's something completely different. You ask him if you can look at it. He shrugs and hands you the keys. You open the hood and stare at the engine for a long time. You don't know what you're looking at. You can identify the battery because it looks like a battery. Everything else is a mystery of metal and rubber and wiring that connects to other things you can't name. You take a photo on your phone and search what each part is called. You watch videos for 2 hours, sitting on the driveway with your back against the front tire. Then you start touching things. You check the oil. It's almost empty. You check the coolant. Low. You tell your uncle. He buys 2 liters of oil and a bottle of coolant. You add them. You get in and turn the key. The engine starts. It runs rough and sounds unhealthy, but it runs. Your uncle stands in the driveway with an expression you don't fully understand at the time. Later you realize it was the face of someone watching something begin that they didn't expect to see begin. You spend the next 3 weekends in that driveway. Not because anyone asked you to. Because the engine still sounds rough and you want to know why. That's how it starts for everyone who ends up doing this for life. Not with a plan. With a question they couldn't leave unanswered. Level 2. The garage helper. You are 16 and the mechanic at the end of your street is named Ray. Ray has been running his garage alone for 11 years. He is not famous. He is not on social media. He drives a van with a dent in the passenger door that he has never bothered to fix because he says a mechanic's own vehicle is always last on the list. His garage is small and always busy and smells like oil and brake cleaner and the coffee he drinks from the same chipped mug every morning. You walk in one Saturday and ask if you can help. He looks at you for a moment and says you can sweep the floor. You sweep the floor. You come back the following Saturday and sweep it again. The third Saturday, he hands you a drain pan and shows you how to do an oil change. He stands beside you the entire time, saying nothing except when you do something wrong. When you do something wrong, he doesn't raise his voice. He just says that's not how we do it and shows you the correct way once. You spend 8 months as Ray's helper. You don't get paid, you don't ask to get paid. What you get is worth more than money at this stage. You get to watch someone who is genuinely good at something do that thing every single day. Ray wastes nothing. Not movement, not time, not words. He lifts a car and within 30 seconds he already knows 3 things about it that you wouldn't notice in 3 minutes. You start watching how he moves around a car the way someone watches a musician play, trying to understand the instinct underneath the action. One afternoon, a customer picks up her car after a brake job and shakes Ray's hand and says she doesn't trust anyone else with it. Ray nods once and goes back inside. You watch this and understand something about what this work actually means to people. Level 3. The Apprentice. You are 18 and you are the youngest person in the workshop by 7 years. The apprenticeship is at a mid-sized independent garage that services all makes. 4 bays, 6 technicians, a service writer named Carol who has been there longer than anyone and knows every regular customer by name and car. You start on a Monday. By Friday, you have made 3 mistakes, learned 8 things you didn't know before, and developed a genuine respect for how much you don't know yet. The lead technician is a man named Dennis. He has been a mechanic for 22 years and carries that experience in the way he does everything. He moves through the workshop without wasted effort. He diagnoses problems with a patience that looks like slowness until you realize he is almost never wrong. Dennis gives you the jobs nobody else wants. The routine services, the brake pad changes, the filter replacements. Not because these jobs are beneath the other technicians, but because repetition builds the foundations that everything else stands on. You do 47 oil changes in your first 2 months. You do them until the process lives in your hands and not just your head. The mistakes you make are real mistakes with real consequences. You cross-thread a bolt and spend 90 minutes correcting it. You forget to reconnect a sensor and the customer's check engine light comes on before they reach the end of the street. You learn that in this work, the consequences of carelessness land on someone else. A person who trusted you with the machine they depend on to get to work and home and everywhere their life requires them to be. That understanding changes how you approach every job. Not just technically, personally. You stop thinking about jobs as tasks and start thinking about them as responsibilities. The car belongs to a person. That person is trusting you. That trust is the whole thing. Level 4, the certified mechanic. You are 21 and you passed your certification exam on the first attempt. The certificate is printed on thick paper and has your name on it and says you are a qualified automotive technician. You put it in a frame. Not because you need to display it, because for a moment you want to look at the distance between the kid staring into an engine bay at 14 and the person holding this piece of paper now. The certification changes how customers look at you, not dramatically, quietly. You are no longer the young one who assists. You are a technician with a bay and a lift and a job list that is yours every morning when you arrive. The work reveals itself differently at this level. You understand now that diagnosing a car is not about knowing every answer. It is about asking the right questions in the right order. A car comes in, making a noise. The noise is the symptom. The symptom points toward a system. The system narrows the possibilities. The possibilities lead you to the cause, every time. A woman brings in her car with a vibration at highway speed. You test drive it. You feel it through the steering wheel and a tremor that begins at 90 kilometers an hour and worsens above 110. You balance the wheels. The vibration doesn't change. You check the drive shaft. One of the universal joints has worn beyond its tolerance. You replace it. The vibration is gone. She comes back the following week. Not because something is wrong. She comes back to tell you she drove to see her daughter 3 hours away, and the car felt like new the whole way. She says thank you in the way people say thank you when something mattered. You hang the certification on the wall of your bay that afternoon. Not for the customers, for yourself. To mark where you are and remember where you came from. Level 5. The Master Technician. You are 26 and the difficult jobs come to you now. Not because you asked for them. Because word moves through a workshop the same way it moves through any community. Quietly and accurately. The other technicians know what you can do. The service writer knows. The shop owner knows. When a car arrives with a problem that has defeated 2 other shops and the customer is running out of patience and money, it comes to your bay. You have developed something that cannot be taught directly. It can only be accumulated through years of problems solved and problems that humbled you before you solved them. A kind of mechanical intuition. The ability to sit in a car, drive it for 10 minutes, and already know where to look before you have touched a single component. A car arrives that has been misfiring for 6 weeks. 2 shops have replaced parts without fixing it. The customer is a man in his 60s who uses the car to visit his wife in a care facility 40 minutes away 3 times a week. He is not angry. He is tired and worried. He can't afford for it not to work. You spend 2 hours with the car. You find a hairline crack in the cylinder head that only reveals itself under operating temperature, invisible to a cold inspection. You explain what needs to be done and what it will cost. He's quiet for a moment. Then he says, just fix it properly. You do. When he picks up the car, you don't see him leave. The service writer tells you later that he sat in the car park for a few minutes before driving away. She thinks he was just relieved. You think about that for the rest of the day. About what it means to fix the thing someone depends on, not the machine. The life the machine makes possible. Level 6, the Shop Foreman. You are 30, and you are responsible for everything that happens in this workshop. The promotion came after the previous foreman retired. The shop owner asked if you wanted it. You said yes without hesitation, and spent the first month discovering exactly how much you didn't understand about the role. Being the best technician in a workshop does not prepare you for managing one. The skills are different. In kind, not just degree. A technician solves mechanical problems. A foreman solves human ones. A technician works on 1 car at a time. A foreman is responsible for 6 cars and 4 technicians, and 2 customer complaints and a parts delivery that arrived incomplete, and a lift that needs its annual inspection simultaneously. You assign jobs every morning based on skill level and time. The straightforward services go to the junior technicians. The complex diagnostics you keep for yourself or for the 2 senior techs who have proven they can handle them. You check every completed job before the car leaves. Not because you don't trust your team, because your name is on every car that leaves this workshop. And that accountability is not something you share. There is a young apprentice named Joel who started 3 months ago. He is where you were at his age, eager and capable, and completely unaware of how much there is to learn. You give him the jobs that teach, the repetitive ones first, then the ones where he has to think. One afternoon, he diagnoses a fault correctly that you expected would take him 2 days. He finds it in 4 hours. He looks across the workshop at you when he realizes he has it. You nod once. He goes back to work. You remember Ray doing exactly that to you 14 years ago and understand for the first time what Ray was feeling when he did it. Level 7. The shop owner. You are 33 and the workshop has your name above the door. The sign went up on a Tuesday morning. You stood on the pavement and looked at it for longer than you expected. Your name on a building, your lift, your equipment, your lease, your loan, your risk. Every part of it yours in the complete sense that includes everything that can go wrong as well as everything that can go right. The first year is the hardest thing you have ever done that isn't physical. The mechanical work you can manage. You have been doing it for 17 years, and your hands know what to do before your mind finishes the instruction. The business is different. Cash flow management, staff scheduling, part supplier negotiations, insurance claims, marketing. A customer who leaves a negative review because you told them their car needed work they didn't want to hear about. You hire 3 technicians. One of them leaves after 4 months for a dealership that pays more. You replace him. The replacement turns out to be better. You learn that building a team is its own craft with its own learning curve. What keeps you going through the difficult months is the customers. Not the revenue they represent, the people themselves. The woman who drives 40 minutes past 2 closer garages because she trusts you with the car she depends on. The elderly man who calls before every service to check you will be the one working on his car personally. The young couple who bring in their first car together and are nervous about everything and leave feeling like someone is looking out for them. You are not just fixing vehicles. You are maintaining the reliability of people's lives, the school runs and the work commutes and the hospital visits and the road trips, and the ordinary Tuesday mornings that require a car that starts. That understanding makes every difficult month worth continuing through. Level 8. The builder. You are 37 and the restoration project has been in the corner of the workshop for 2 years. A 1969 Ford Mustang Fastback. Someone's abandoned project. Incomplete and dusty and sitting under a tarpaulin that one of your technicians lifted one morning and said you should buy it. You did, not for the business, for yourself. Because somewhere underneath the daily rhythm of services and diagnostics and staff management and customer calls, there is still the person who opened a hood at 14 because he couldn't leave a question unanswered. You work on it in the hours before the workshop opens and occasionally on Sunday mornings when the building is empty and quiet and the only sound is what you're doing. It is the slowest you have worked on anything in 20 years. Not because it is more difficult than other things you have done. Because this one is not for a customer and not for revenue and not for anyone's timeline except yours. You rebuild the engine completely. You strip it to its components and understand it the way you understand things now. Not just technically, but in the particular way that comes from having spent your life with machines. The relationship between parts. The logic of design. The difference between what something is and what it was meant to be. The restoration takes 14 months. When you drive it for the first time on a Sunday morning through empty streets, the feeling is not what you expected. Not triumph. Not satisfaction exactly. Something quieter. The feeling of having finished something that required everything you know. Your lead technician asks you what you're going to do with it. You tell him you're going to keep it. He looks at you like that's the most obvious answer anyone has ever given. It is. Level 9. The legend. You are 42 and people drive past other workshops to reach yours. Not because you are the cheapest. You are not. Not because you are the fastest. Speed was never the point. Because in a world full of places that will fix your car, very few places will understand it. Very few places will tell you the truth about what it needs and what it doesn't. Very few places make you feel that the person working on your vehicle actually cares whether you leave safer than when you arrived. Your reputation was not built. It accumulated. The way trust always accumulates. One honest conversation at a time. One job done correctly when a shortcut was available. One customer told what they needed to hear instead of what they wanted to hear. 28 years of that, and your name means something in this town that no marketing could have manufactured. The workshop has grown. 2 locations now. 8 technicians between them. Joel is the foreman at the second site. He has become exactly what you saw in him 14 years ago when he found that fault in 4 hours and looked across the workshop at you. On a Thursday afternoon in October, a woman calls and asks if her son can come and watch. He is 14. He has been asking about cars since he was old enough to ask about anything. She doesn't know where else to take him. You tell her to bring him Saturday morning. He arrives in a gray hoodie and old trainers and stands in the doorway of the workshop looking at everything with the particular quality of attention that belongs to someone who has been waiting their whole short life to be somewhere like this. You walk over. You place a wrench on the workbench in front of him. You say, "Start with this." He picks it up and looks at it and looks at you. He doesn't know yet what the next 28 years will look like. He doesn't know about the long days and the difficult customers and the physical cost of the work, and the extraordinary satisfaction of being genuinely trusted with something that matters. He just knows that this is the beginning of something, just like you knew. Standing in your uncle's driveway at 14 with a photograph of an engine on your phone and a question you couldn't leave unanswered.